Now, I don't say this often.
I don't say this often.
Now, I don't say this often. He's going to be a wild card in the league. Welcome back to the Wildcards Podcast. It's one of your hosts, Coleman Madlin, and we're back. I'm joined here today with my two fellow co-hosts,
Joshua Sykes
and Brandon Hartke.
And we're very excited to be back. You know, we took a bit of a break, I think, for school was mostly the main thing, for me at least, probably for Josh, and then Brandon's just lazy.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm kidding. We all had school, and yeah, it took a bit of our time, so you know we didn't have time to do this, but we're hopeful that we can make this more of an every week type of thing this next upcoming semester and from then on. So without further ado, I think we all kind of agreed that it would be a good thing to just, you know, if you listen to this, you probably already are, you know, somewhat caught up with the sports world. So why don't we just, you know, act like we've been doing this the whole time and jump into the current news, or like at least the news that's been happening in the past couple of days, maybe a couple of weeks, you know, recap a few things maybe down the line. But, you know, without further ado, let's get back into some major news. So do you guys mind if I go ahead and start?
All right, man, you got it for real.
All right. So Illinois standout player Terrence Shannon Jr. He's actually been playing really well this year for the Illinois Fighting Illini. Is that how you say it? I think that's right. Yep. But yeah, historically pretty good basketball team. I think they have a couple great seasons into March. And but yeah, he's been arrested in Kansas. I think he posted bail, but he got arrested for rape. Unfortunately, he turned himself in and posted bail. The incident was allegedly in Lawrence, Kansas, back when Illinois' football team played Kansas in Lawrence. And that was back in September, I think early September. And he is currently 8th in the NCAA in scoring. So he's a great player. He's projected to be drafted I think he's just outside of the lottery. Not a lottery pick, but just outside. But again, that could change depending on how this, you know, whole thing turns out. Again, he got arrested. He flew, I think, to Lawrence. He posted bail, and then he flew back. And now he's been suspended from the Illinois men's basketball team.
Oh, so it just came out recently that this happened, Coleman?
Yeah, I think the news broke about 48 hours ago. But, of course, the incident occurred back in September.
Decisions, man. These young men need to be making better decisions. I'm sure, I mean, he knew he had it in to be a lottery pick, and he jeopardized that with this situation. So, I mean, just, you got to know not to be a time and a place, you know, not to be there and things like that. Just praying for the young man and his family and the victim's family.
Yeah. Well said. Brandon, you got any thoughts?
No, it's just a terrible act that happens every day. And he definitely needs to take some time, reflect on his decision. And hopefully, you know, the victim overcome this tragic event. And if allowed, he gets right back onto the court and helps his team win. And maybe even provides himself with a future in the NBA.
Of course, that is, you know, hopefully that happens. But of course, the victim comes first. So there's that. Lee Corso plans to return to College Game Day in 2024. Does anyone want to talk about that?
I mean, he's the heart and soul of the whole operation. You know what I'm saying? Like, it started with him. He's done some memorable things. I mean, he is getting old, and I would like to see him, like, take a back seat sometimes and just enjoy life because he's getting up there in age. But, like, as a college football fan that watches every Saturday morning, like, if you don't see Lee Corso with a Hager pick, like, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying?
For sure. It'll definitely be a different landscape when he's gone.
Yeah, I think eventually, though, that's why they brought Pat McAfee in to bring, like, more energy that Lee used to bring.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll eventually have to find somebody else, but I think right now, while he wants to, I would let him.
For sure. Yeah. All right, do you guys want to talk about the best teams in college basketball?
I mean, somebody else can start, because we know who I'm going to talk about.
We do. We know who Josh is going to talk about, but there are some great teams this year in college basketball. Of course, the number one team in the AP poll, at least, is Purdue. Arizona's up there. FAU is up there. Tennessee's up there.
Marquette, Houston, Kansas.
Houston's. I mean, Houston. I gotta hand it to Houston, man. Houston has been playing pretty well consistently for the past like 10 years in basketball. Yeah, I don't know. Props to them. Shout out Houston. Shout out Calvin Sampson. Yeah.
He's built a really good program over there for real. They're built off defense and not making so many mistakes. I mean that's the way you play ball.
And selling in March. But besides that, they've just been great. But yeah, so Houston is definitely one of the teams up there. What you say?
Speaking about selling in March, John Calipari and his Kentucky Cats are doing pretty good so far this season.
Right now they are. They have a few demoralizing, pitiful losses.
We're not in March yet, though.
They have one demoralizing, pitiful loss. The other one was to Kansas.
UNC Wilmington.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you want to be a good team, Josh, you got to beat good teams. I'm just going to leave that.
I mean, they beat Miami when they were ranked like top 10.
Yeah. Since then, Miami.
You think Georgia football said that when they beat Kentucky? We beat Kentucky when they were 25.
I mean, yeah, probably.
Nope.
I'm sure they said it, buddy.
It only matters about the top 5 teams, Josh.
That's all that matters. How often does the top 5 team win a national championship? Do you know that?
Well,
exactly. Shut your mouth. You don't know.
It's not a national championship.
Yeah, you just said the only top 5 teams matter, buddy. National championship
who won
doesn't
last
matter
year?
now. National championship doesn't matter now. Yeah, shut your mouth.
We got some early fighting between Josh and Brandon here.
Yeah, you don't know.
It's not my fault. Kentucky's not gonna be in the Final Four, bro.
Where's Michigan State? Huh? Where they at?
Unranked.
Exactly.
It's called a down year, bro.
Yeah, you've been having a lot lately, buddy.
All right, guys, be quiet. Who are your Final Four picks? Each go.
All right,
Josh, you go first.
I guess I'll go first.
Kentucky.
Well, how about this? Let me preface this by saying, sometimes the teams get put in different regions. Like, for example, the Kentucky's always put in, is it the South, the region? So, like, it's hard to. So let's just say who's your top 4 teams right now that could make because it's like harder to determine what region they're going to
play.
I like what you're
saying. Matchups.
What'd you say?
Because you're not going to know matchups. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So let's like top 4 teams that are built to make a run in March.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna have to say first of all, I want to say Purdue, but we all know like how Purdue ended last year. Like I'm hoping like that's not the way it ends this year because I feel like it is a pretty good team. Now I say that to say that Zach Edey's not my national player of the year because if you watch him play, it's just he's tall. That's it. That's all he's got going for him. No post move,
bag.
No nothing. He has no bag, 0 bag. Actually has negative bag.
It's like Giannis.
Yeah, if you put another 7-footer on him, I think that's negated. Now, I do think their guard play is a lot better than it was a year ago. That's what lost them in the tournament. So, just for that, I would think they make it to the Elite 8. I'm not going to put in the Final 4. I know this is a Final 4 pick. I'm just prefacing why I would not put Purdue in there.
No, I respect that, for sure.
I'm going to put Houston in there because defense wins championships. And I think they're one of the best defensive sound teams in the nation. I'm going to put UConn in there for pretty much the same reason. Very well defensive sound. I know they're having some rocky trouble right now with their recent losses, but I feel like they're going to figure it out. I like their head coach. I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now.
Who's head coach?
UConn's.
Oh, that's Hurley? Dan Hurley?
Yeah, Dan Hurley. I like Dan Hurley. I think he's a good coach. I like what they're building up there. But for the same reasons I left Purdue out, UConn could also struggle.
Sure.
Now it's down to my final 2. I really don't know who to put at the 3 spot, to be honest. Kind of struggling there. I want to say Kansas, but the way they struggle against Kentucky, I feel like teams can take advantage of that. And if you stop Hunter Dickinson, if Kentucky would have stopped Hunter Dickinson, that game goes the complete opposite way. It's a blowout the other way. And now that Kentucky has their 7-footer back, I think that if you play that game, it's a different story.
That's fair.
So I guess my 3 would be Kentucky, Reed Shepherd, Rob Dillingham coming off the bench, which is insane. Probably the best backcourt in the nation. Coming off the bench at that. I mean, DJ is pretty good, but I don't think DJ is as good as Rob and them. But So yeah, Kentucky would be my 3, and then my 4. Really don't know. It's hard for me right now because I don't see anybody that's really standing out.
Arizona.
I guess I'll go with Arizona. That'd probably be like just because I don't have anybody else really. But I feel like that pick. I mean, I guess I'll pick Arizona for my 4, but at the same time, I feel like that 4 spot's up in the air for like a Cinderella team to make it, or
for sure
somebody that we're not talking about right now.
James Madison, dude.
Yeah, I mean, James Madison's up there.
One of only 2 undefeated teams with Houston in the AP.
Yeah, I know, but who?
Or actually, Ole Miss. You're right. They play in a terrible conference. Ole Miss is also undefeated, so I correct my statement.
And so isn't Houston undefeated? Or did
Houston, Ole Miss, James Madison. For me, and so that's your top 4.
Yeah.
All right. I'll make mine a bit more concise. I think as my that wasn't a jab at you, Josh. Just I was just gonna make it. I really deep down I think Arizona is built for March this year. March. I think that in the past they haven't done outstanding. They always end up falling short. But I think Arizona, same thing I think about Houston. I also think Houston would be my number 2. In my number 3 is Kentucky. I think Kentucky, Calipari seems like he's back to his old ways and being able to make freshmen work. The past couple of years, or at least 2 years, it's been an older team, that hasn't worked. Kentucky basketball has been almost a joke for the past 4 or 5. I mean, ever since 2015. Let's be honest.
Well, I wouldn't say a joke. But yeah,
joke. It's not. They're not Kentucky. Yeah. Especially in March.
But I feel like regular season the last 2 years have been pretty decent.
Sure. Yeah. They're really
ever since COVID year. Yeah, that's kind of.
Oh, COVID year, man. Wow.
We're not gonna talk about that one.
Oh, yikes. And then number 4, I have Marquette. Marquette, another Big East team. I think the Big East is like I honestly think it's the SEC of basketball. I think the Big East. They might not have I think the SEC, the Big East, is a basketball conference. Everyone knows that, but I think it's the basketball conference. Maybe you could say the Pac-12. Hot take. I think that
it's pretty hot.
I think the Big East is the basketball conference. The past couple of years,
I agree.
And I think Marquette's the best of the best in that conference. I think better than UConn. I think they'll make a better run. What about you, Brennan? What are your top 4 teams?
Well, I was just gonna agree with you that the Big East is probably the best basketball thing. I've been saying that for since last March. But my number 1, I'm gonna go with the Kansas Jayhawks. It's hard to be dominant and be as dominant as they are. So I just think if you're being dominant now, then hopefully you keep that energy in March. Number 2, I'm gonna go with Houston. Not just because they're undefeated. I just really like what they've got going on. I mean, to be some would say a smaller school compared to Kansas, Kentucky, you're talking about the Blue Bloods or whatever it's called, and to do what they've been doing for the last couple of years, I think they will come into March with vengeance. Number 3, I have Marquette. They've lost a couple questionable games, but when they do win, they win by 20. Now losing to Providence by they lost by I think 16 or something. That was bad, but I think Marquette will be built for March. And then my final team is Memphis. I've been liking Memphis for the past couple years, and I really was looking at their previous games that they've played, and when they play better schools than them, they barely lose. So I think that's one of those Cinderella stories that Josh was talking. Let me finish, dude. Anyway. I was just because Josh said you need a Cinderella story at 4. So that's gonna be my Cinderella team,
No, I think that's I respect the hell out of that pick. I think they got snubbed this week. I'm pretty sure on the AP poll.
Look,
but no, Memphis is good.
I didn't mean to. I like the pick of Memphis. I'm just saying a loss is still a loss.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And Lennon, why didn't you? Can you give a reason why you didn't put Kentucky in there? You're the only one that didn't put them in there. So.
Oh, I just didn't want to be a follower. I didn't want to be a sheep, Because everyone's heard y'all's Kentucky reasoning. So obviously, if it's 2 out of the 3 of us, then they know that Kentucky's good. So I'm just trying to give them some new information. You know what I mean?
I like it. I respect it.
Those are our 4, not final 4 predictions, because you never know how the on selection Sunday how they'll feed them into the different regions. But those are our 4 teams that we think would make good runs in March. Some of those teams historically have not been great at making runs in March, but of course, every year's a new year, and we think it's that time for those teams. So let's move on. Moving on to our college football playoff, Rose and Sugar Bowl. And I want to preface this by saying, I think all of us have gotten over the fact, some more quickly, others, we're all FSU students. And obviously FSU got left off, first team ever to be left off after going undefeated in the college football playoff era. And just like quickly to speak on that, it was kind of expected, but also kind of like just jolting, at least in my experience, like just seeing it. But I have personally gotten over it. I think it hopefully feeds fire to the team as a FSU fan. And but yeah, as for like a money or like a best games perspective, I can see how you can leave FSU off, especially without their quarterback. In fact, they're playing Georgia this week with 20 plus opt out and their 4th string true freshman quarterback. So I mean, that's just a testament to how maybe the game would have been against if they were number 4, a Michigan team. So yeah, there's that. Do you guys have any thoughts? And if not, what are your college football playoff predictions?
Well, it took me about 2 minutes to get over the decision. I knew they were going to do it, but I mean, it does kind of suck for the kids actually. Well, my fellow students that worked really hard to go undefeated.
Bro thinks he's on the team.
Bro, I go to school with these kids.
I know. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So it does suck. Don't get me wrong, but like you said, hopefully it's fueling the fire for next year. And yeah, I mean, I hope these games are good. So.
What about you, Josh or Brennan? Yeah.
Oh, my fault.
What do you think? What do you think, Brennan?
Well, I'll start with the FSU thing. I obviously knew it was going to happen just because of like Jordan Travis's devastating injury. So I mean, it did piss me off all day, but I have another team in Michigan, so it's good that I don't have to root 4-1, saying that they would have like played each other in the Rose Bowl. So no, I just have to root for Michigan against Alabama. But I think with we already have our picks, so we'll get to that later. But I think what the committee did, although it does suck for FSU, I think it's what's best for college football. Just because FSU was beat down, it's hard for them to win without their star quarterback. And I think it's just better for views and everything. But I hate to say that, but that's just my thought. I think that's why they did that.
Sure. All right, let's go in order. Who's going to win each of the semifinal games and who's going to win the championship game, starting with Brent?
Obviously, Michigan wins. Squeaks by Alabama because Alabama is a good team, but Michigan has a great defense this year. And then Texas versus Washington. I'm going to give that one to Texas just because I believe the Sugar Bowl. I mean, watching that to travel so far away, Texas is going to have a little bit of fan advantage, some would say. I just think they're a better team. The SEC they're now in the SEC later in 2024, but the Big 12 is what they're in. I think that's just better comp than what Washington's faced, considering they barely squeaked by Oregon. And then so I have Michigan, Texas in the final. I'm going to say Michigan because I'm a Michigan fan, but now thinking about the game, it's going to be a shootout just because of Texas' high-powered offense. I like Quinn Ewers, but I'm just hoping Michigan wins, but that would be an ideal final. I wouldn't hate either of those teams winning. I just don't want Alabama to win.
Gotcha. What about you, Josh? Josh,
you go ahead, Coleman. I want to do my picks last. I'll let you go.
Okay, sure. So I have, unfortunately, a team that I have grown to not despise them, but despise just actually, you know what? Screw it. I despise Alabama. I'm just gonna say it straight up. I don't like Alabama. It makes me mad. But Alabama's gonna beat Michigan. I'm sorry. Michigan has they have no playoff experience. I mean, except if you count last year getting blown out by TCU.
The year
Unless
before
you count,
that.
yeah, and they don't have any playoff experience going the distance in a very, very, very long time. And I think that will catch up. I think while Harbaugh's a good coach, I don't think he. I don't know. I just think that whole fake. What was the saying? Brandon, you would know. What was the saying that everyone said once Harbaugh got a
Michigan versus the world?
No, it's like everyone. Oh, they said bet. They said bet. Like they're gonna prove something.
Bet.
As much as that like makes me a little confident, like maybe they have a different culture going than they have the past, dozen or so years, probably more. I think it's been like 19. It's been a very long time. Yeah, it's been a long time since Michigan sniffed the trophy. But even though that makes me somewhat think that they have a chance, I still think Alabama's the better team. That's the other game I'll stop droning on. I think Texas is a better team than Washington. Simple. As much as it pains me to say it, but I still want to find a way to say Texas isn't back. But I mean, making it to the college football playoff final, which I think they will, the championship. I guess that you can say that they're back. And then in the championship, Alabama versus Texas, it's like Alabama is the better team, and I think Alabama will win that future SEC matchup. What about you, John?
Okay, so in this crazy world that we live in, let's just all for a second think about what is the best storybook ending to this last year of the 14 playoff. First of all, you get the Alabama-Michigan matchup. You got Jim Harbaugh versus the greatest coach to ever do it, Nick Saban. You got an SEC team school against a Big Ten team school. Two of the greatest conferences in the whole like NCAA in football. One, Michigan, bunch of cheaters. Investigation's gonna find that out pretty soon. Two, I mean, they freaking wet the bed against TCU last year. They don't deserve to be here this year. And three, who do they play all year? Let's be real. I mean, they've played absolutely nobody's. Ohio State's not the Ohio State that we know and love. Well, I don't know if I love them, but
Josh, can I stop for a second here?
Yeah, go ahead.
This is probably the most amount of facts I've ever heard you spit up until now. Okay, now keep going.
Hey, I appreciate that, man.
This is crazy.
This Ohio State team's not like, I like watching good football, but like it's not it. So they've not played nobody 13-0 for what, just to lose to Bama, the greatest SEC school in the history of the SEC. Behind my Kentucky Wildcats, of course, but that's neither here or there. So I'm gonna go first game, Michigan, Alabama. Blitz, Bama, blitz. We're gonna go Bama. Jalen Milroe, MVP performance. So that's enough for that game. And then Texas, Washington. Don't really care for Washington, West Coast team. They're on some different time than us. I'm not a big Texas fan either. I'm always horns down, But in this case, they're an SEC school now. So we got to root for the SEC. So go Texas, I guess, for this one.
Would it not also be a storybook ending if the last team of the Pac-12 got the Pac-2 got the win?
No. Screw the Pac-12. Okay. They've never have they ever won it?
Oregon got close. Nope.
They've never won it, so they don't deserve a title.
Not in the 4-team era.
Yeah, no. Yeah. So they don't deserve to win. Anyway, I'll have my horns sideways for this game, and I'll be rooting for Texas to win. So now you have in the last 14 playoff, before everything changes in the world we know it today, you're going to have two future SEC schools battling it out to have a little bit of a preview of what to come, And I think that's pretty much the way they're going to write it. I mean, some say the NFL is scripted, some say the NBA is scripted, but you know what? College football is the most scripted sport there is.
True.
Especially with all this NIL deals going around. Who knows where money's going? Heck, Saudi Arabia has probably already bought out Florida State's contract from the ACC. We just don't know it yet. Anyway.
Thank God.
Alabama, Texas, two SEC schools for the future of the SEC and the future of college football as we know it. Bama rolls on. Bama wins again. And the SEC is superior once and for all.
Well said. Well said. Can I treat you guys to something really quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
the last time, or I'll say it this way: the last Minnesota has won a national championship more recently than Michigan, if you don't count, because Michigan and Nebraska shared a title in '97. The last time Michigan won a title by themselves was 1948, which was just after the Second World War. None of our parents and maybe even grandparents were born. And so to say that they barely have any, closing experience would be an understatement. I'm not a Michigan hater. Actually, I am a Michigan hater. I don't see them beating Alabama, but that could age like milk. So there's that.
All right. Anything else you want to say about that, Brandon? I know we've been dogging on your team for a minute.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Brandon. It's not you, it's your team. It's not you, it's me.
Every good team has haters, And back then when Michigan and Nebraska shared the thing, it was just like they just voted on like who the best team was.
Sure, yeah. So it was different.
It was different.
Should do that. Should we start doing that again today then?
We should.
I don't know. Alabama would win every year, bro. The people in the South would cause a riot.
Yeah. No, I agree. That would be terrible. That, how many riders would get paid off? I mean, it'd be bad. Next up, we got the Super Bowl matchups, guys, and MVP. Surprising teams, either positive or negative. So let's go through those. So give what the Super Bowl matchup you think is going to be, the winner of that, who's going to win the MVP, not who should, who will, or maybe you can include both, but keep it concise. And then surprising teams, both good and bad. Let's start with Brandon.
Okay. So start off with Super Bowl matchups. Obviously we still have 2 weeks left, so we don't know who's. We'll just go Super Bowl favorites because we obviously don't know who's in the playoffs for some teams because we have 2 weeks left. So my Super Bowl favorites, NFC and AFC. I'll start with the AFC. On their side, I'm gonna have to give it to the Ravens. No one else really seems to be that much of a competitor. I mean, you could count the Dolphins, but with the injuries that they're dealing with, I think the Ravens have that one, and they'll have home field advantage throughout the whole AFC playoffs. So I think Ravens represent the AFC.
Well, not yet. There's a way. There's a way the Browns can.
I know. The Browns could take. I'm just saying. That's what I'm saying.
Sure.
Browns could get the number 1 seed. But that's just my pick. And then NFC. Oh, it's tough, man.
And there's really 3 teams, right?
Yeah, I mean, you either go with the 49ers, the Eagles, or the Lions for the number 1 seed. They're all tied.
Who said anything about the Lions? I'm kidding.
I'm just talking about the number 1 seed.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding.
But I don't know. Okay. I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna say the Lions. I mean, I am a Lions fan. As much as I know we will probably lose, and what is that, like the divisional round is like the second round, I believe.
Yeah.
We don't match up great against the 49ers, but if Brock Purdy does what he did the time he played the Ravens, we're good. We play the Cowboys this week. I'll just stop yapping. I'll go Lions, Ravens. Those are my things.
All right, MVP.
MVP, I have to give that one to Lamar unless Tua shows out this week when they play the Ravens and absolutely, throws for like 300 yards, 4 touchdowns. I give that one to Tua. And Chris McCaffrey made a great case. To this day, I really don't see them like giving it to a non-quarterback position unless they do like what Adrian Peterson did and just like run for like 150 yards per game.
Yeah.
And my most surprising team would be the Browns. I really like what they've done with all their QB struggles. And if I had to choose a disappointing team, I think I'll choose 2. I think I'll go with the Chiefs. Just like they're not having a disappointing year, but to them, they're having a terrible year, like 9-5. Patrick Mahomes is not having a good year. Some say Taylor Swift is a cancer to the Chiefs.
Some would be right.
Amen to that, brother.
Some would be right. And another surprising team that negatively I'll give you 2 positives, 2 negatives. Another positive would be the Texans. Great pick with them. CJ Stroud. I really like how has them in playoff contention after year one. And negative team, I'd have to go with the Panthers. I liked all their offseason moves. I liked the pick of Bryce Young. But we're seeing it on film. It's they're just terrible.
All right. What are you, Josh?
Oh, for my Super Bowl matchup, I've been seeing a lot of some speculation about how the logo that the NFL puts out is like the actual teams that play.
Yeah.
Well, I saw something that they changed it, and now it's going to be the Cowboys, and I can't remember what the other one was. I think it was the Chiefs, the Cowboys and the Chiefs.
That'd be the worst Super Bowl ever.
But my Super Bowl pick would be the Ravens, just because everybody in the AFC is so up and down. So, like, if you were going to say the Dolphins, like, I would say, yeah, they could. But they're just so up and down. Like, they'll score 70 one week and then score, like, 10 the next. So, you have to be very consistent in the playoffs. You can't lose a game. So, I would say the most consistent, probably the Ravens, especially with the way they played against the 49ers, and that's a very talented team that they beat. Of course, they had help with Brock Purdy not being on his game. And then I would have to say for my NFC team, it would probably have to be the most talented team, which would be the 49ers, if Brock Purdy can manage a game better than he did against the Ravens. I would say then they win. But if he cannot, I would pick Dallas just because I think, first of all, the NFL is scripted, so they're going to get the most views from America's team. Second of all, I think they're a pretty good team, especially with CeeDee Lamb doing what he's doing. I mean, I don't know if y'all watched the Cowboys play, but CeeDee Lamb is him. And I don't really care for Oklahoma and all their players that come out. I don't really care for Dallas, to be honest, but he is him. He's playing crazy right now. So, yeah, I guess my matchup would have to be the 49ers and the Ravens. And so, for my MVP, right now I think Lamar is the favorite. But if you're thinking most valuable player, like one team, like you cannot go without this one player. And I know it's going to be on offense, of course, because they're out there more, they make more of a difference. I would have to say Christian McCaffrey because, I mean, how good did that 49ers offense work without him? How versatile he is and how many yards per carry he has. I mean, don't get me wrong, he has a great talented group around him that everybody has to scheme around, like the George Kittles and the Brandon Ayuk's and the Deebo Samuels.
Sure.
And you gotta do that. But like without Christian McCaffrey, I feel like that team's not going nowhere. I think it's a middle of the pack team. I mean, we kind of could see that from before they traded for Christian. They weren't like amazing, and now they're like top of the league. Everybody's like, oh my gosh. I mean, they made a lot of additions since, but like without Christian McCaffrey, I don't think he's the cog that makes it go. Right? He's the brain in the backfield. Because Brock Purdy, I mean, like Cam Newton said, I'll take it. I mean, he's a game manager, but I also heard somebody say that he's such a good game manager that he's a game changer in that aspect, which I agree with at sometimes,
Sure.
Like you could call Tom Brady a game manager, but he was such a good game manager that it changed the game entirely.
Yeah.
So with that, I would say Christian McCaffrey deserves the MVP. Now, will he get it? Probably not. Like you said, it's hard. It's become a quarterback award, which I don't think that should be the way it should be, but, it is what it is. And then my most surprising team negatively, I'm going to go to the Chargers. Because, I mean, you got a young quarterback, great running back. You got some talented wide receivers. Of course, one of them went down, Mike Williams, with an injury. Speedy recovery, hopefully, for him. But that was earlier on in the year, and then they had to fire their head coach. I mean, we all didn't see that coming, you know what I'm saying? And
Staley.
We thought, Staley. And then, I mean, the defense is just falling apart. So, I mean, that's a really surprising team. I mean, I think so. Who picked it? Me and Coleman picked them to win their division. So.
No ball knowledge.
Zero.
Very surprising. And then, most surprising, like, good team. I don't know. I feel like everybody think is good right now is expected, kind of. Oh, another negative team would be the Bills. The Bills are not lived up to what they should be doing. But a positive team, honestly, yeah, I'm gonna go with the Browns too because of all the quarterback issues, and they still have a chance to win the division, which is insane. And I mean, nobody talks about the Browns, so I mean, it'd be all right for two of us to talk about them on here. I can't think of another super
you could say the
surprising
Lions, but people did assume that with their run last year.
Yeah, it was assumed that they were going to be good.
Well, I mean, I did pick them to win the division on that, so I'm not going to say they're surprising to me. Yeah, I think the second half after
you could say the Colts.
I think after the Steelers fired their offense coordinator, that's kind of surprising. That's a good surprise.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, I think that's about it.
All right. For me, I'd have to say, as for the Super Bowl matchup, I think it's going to be 49ers and, hot take, Cleveland Browns. I think the Cleveland Browns surprise everyone and go the distance.
Joe Flacco?
Yes. That's my hot take. I think Joe Flacco, I mean, he has experience in the playoffs. But yeah, that's my hot take for the matchup. As for MVP, Lamar is going to win it without a doubt. I shouldn't say without a doubt. That's never good to say that before it happens. But then, yeah, I agree with what Josh said. The most valuable player, there's a difference between MVP and most valuable player. That's the way I like to put it. Even though they're the exact, that's what it stands for. There's a difference. NFL MVP is not the most valuable player. The most valuable player in the NFL is Christian McCaffrey, but the NFL's MVP will be Lamar Jackson. That's just how it is. But what I will say is Lamar is definitely going to be, if he wins it, he doesn't not deserve it. Of course he deserves it. He's been playing great. It is one of those years with the QBs and really everyone. There's only one player who's just having a insane season. But yeah. So, and I think Lamar, if he wins, he'll be the youngest player to ever get to 2 MVPs. Am I right about that? What is he, 24? 20 something, and he already has his one.
Yeah, he's 26.
I think you're right.
He's 26. Oh damn. Okay, well I thought he was a little younger, but anyway, I think he got his 2019 and then 2023 if he wins this, which is pretty impressive. But some people will call him Mickey MVPs because of the competition. Anyway, surprising teams. As for negative surprising teams, you got to go Chargers and Bills. Yeah, those are just yikes. Even though the Bills. Do we go back and say it's the Madden curse with Josh Allen? Mr. Pick, but I don't know.
Definitely
but
could.
You definitely could say that.
That or Haley Steinfeld.
Yeah, the two options here. Probably a mix of both. And as for positive teams, I don't think any of you guys said this. I think the Packers are definitely a positive. Did anyone think they were going to be in the playoff picture after losing Aaron Rodgers? I didn't think so. I
think they would have had a good team, but I didn't know Jordan Love would be like what he is,
For the past 6, 7, 8 weeks, Jordan Love has been playing out pretty damn good. And that's coming from a Vikings fan who hates the Packers. Those two teams play Sunday night, prime time. It's going to be a good one. So Packers is one team, and then my other team is the Houston Texans. So, yeah, those are my 4 teams, 2 good, 2 bad. Do you got to move on to let's see if you guys have anything else to say. The NBA teams' record-breaking seasons and other, NBA standout things so far. All right, move on. So, as we all know, 2 teams have been standing out so far, I'd say, compared to...
Before you get going, can I just say right now, for the record, for everybody listening right now and everybody, you two in the studio right now, yeah. I was wrong. Anthony Edwards is him. I just want to put that out there.
Oh!
And I know Coleman's going to freaking bust one right now.
Oh! This is big news.
I want to say Anthony Edwards is him. I enjoy watching him play. He's a great player.
I think I know why. Kentucky. I think I know why. Is it because of the send a video?
Hey, that made.
Oh no way!
No, I'm kidding. That had nothing to do with what I was talking about. But I do enjoy watching him play and carry this Poverty Wolves team to what it's doing right now.
Hey, yeah,
pretty good.
I'll take it.
You got Karl-Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert. That's about it. But we love
Reed.
Naz Reid,
I forgot about
Kyle Anderson.
Kyle Anderson. I want him gone. Also, Mike Conley has been. We can talk about Mike Conley, but yeah, the two teams that have been standing out this season, definitely the Timberwolves and the Pistons. The Timberwolves have the best record in the West. They for like a couple, probably like a week and a half total, they had the best record in the NBA. Of course, they've been battling with that role with the Celtics, who are another. I mean, hands down, they're the best team in the NBA. I mean, they're most loaded. I can't stand the Celtics, but they are the most loaded team in the NBA right now. And, well, playing the most loaded. I would say there's another team in the West that starts with an S and ends with an S and has UN in the middle that has quite
should be better than they are.
That should be better than they are. Yeah. But yeah, the Celtics are definitely right now the best team in the league. But again, everyone expected them to be. No one expected the Wolves to be having the season that they are. As a Timberwolves fan, it's very nice. I remember, and I don't like doing this because no one knows. And of course, I'm going to say this because I'm a fan. But I remember a couple podcasts ago, maybe the middle of maybe like 10 or so ago. But I'd have to go back and look. I remember I asked the question, who's going to have the better franchise? And this leads us into the other surprising team. Who's going to have the better franchise the next, 3, 4 years? Who's going to be better overall? I said the Pistons or the Timberwolves, because of course I'm a Timberwolves fan and Brandon's a Pistons fan. And that's of course other team that's surprising, but not in a good way. And I remember Josh said, without a doubt, the Pistons. I'll have to find the clip. Maybe I'll find it and put it in here. If I don't,
they still do have the better future because they're going to get a number 1 overall pick this year. And
let's be real, they're probably going to get like the 8th pick. They're going to get unlucky and get like a terrible pick.
Yeah, but they'll still have 2 very good first-round picks because they're going to lose this year and next year. But yeah, I get what you're saying. I said I was wrong, and I'm sorry for all the fans that put their faith in me.
All 10 Timberwolves fans?
No, just all fans of the podcast.
All 4 podcasts? I'm kidding. Okay, but yeah, no, Timberwolves and Pistons have been really surprising this year. I'll ask Brandon. Brandon looks really down right now on his video. He looks like he's in his feelings, contemplating his life decisions about being a Pistons fan. And now he's looking a little bit more, better. But I think the Timberwolves, they're just unconvinced. Like, did anyone think that they were going to be a good defensive? I mean, they have a lot of offensive firepower with Anthony Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns, and I get that they have Rudy Gobert. And I still would say that the trade was interesting, but we do have to talk about the trade. If you guys think that the trade is less frowned upon now than it was a couple of months ago, or is it still pretty frowned upon?
I think it's still frowned upon. I think maybe less, but I still don't think Rudy Gobert fits the system as well. I think you could have found someone else like a Kristaps Porzingis or someone that would fit better.
Okay. One thing I will say is I don't think Rudy Gobert's defensive his presence can be quantified really by any stat or any metric unless you watch all the games. I think, and I've of course watched all the games. And so I'm basically the creator of basketball when it comes to this. I've all ball knowledge. I don't think you can really quantify how Rudy's rim presence, how it deters other players from even like playing around there. They have to completely change their game plan, their style of play to fit around Rudy Gobert. And I don't think that there's not a stat for that. There's no stat that can back that up. And I guess you say like defensive win shares, which
called blocks.
What'd you say?
Called blocks, and
no, it's not called block. It's not called stocks because they don't even go up for that. And that's a positive for the Timberwolves where they don't play in the paint, and that will never be shown because he deters players from even going to the paint.
Me personally, if I had the ball, Rudy Gobert's guarding me, I'm dunking on him. I'm not scared about him going.
That's what what's his name did a couple days ago. Who was it? Who did it on his head?
I don't know, bro. You watch the games.
Yeah, I forgot the name of the player. Anyway, but yeah, that's for the Timberwolves. I'm excited for the Timberwolves' future. Although I will say one last note and comment. It is not sustainable. They're paying too much right now. They're going to have to get rid of someone, or else they'll go so far into the luxury tax. The city of Minnesota will require its residents to pay 4 times the amount of taxes.
Dude, that means nobody's going to live in Minnesota anymore because the taxes are already so high.
It's not that bad. I mean, it's pretty bad. But
yeah, it is that bad,
you're right.
buddy.
You're right. It's pretty bad. Okay. And then the Pistons, Brennan or Josh, do you guys want to talk about the Pistons? I mean, I don't. Of course, I don't want to talk about it. You'll volunteer?
Oh, volunteers tribute.
All right, talk about him, Brennan.
I mean, what is there to talk about, really? Obviously, our lineup against other lineups, like, we're not good. So, like, I mean, I really didn't expect us to be good, but I didn't expect us to be this bad. No, we are, like, Jalen Durant's been dealing with an injury and stuff. So, I mean, like, we are injured, but we're still terrible. It's not good. Monty, I don't know if we overpaid.
Oh, yeah, he did.
I'm just saying, like, he could be doing better. But, I mean, then again, like, you look at our team compared to other teams. We're just young, and we're not talentless, but we don't have the right players, and we're not making the right decisions. Cade Cunningham's giving it his all. I think he's a top 3 scorer in the last, like, 3 games. I think he's averaging, like, 30.8 points, and I think it's Luka and someone else was above him.
Embiid?
Yeah, maybe. Sounds about right. Cade Cunningham's giving it his all. Jaden Ivey's not happy because he doesn't get enough playing time. I personally think he should play over Killian Hayes. But I just think we have too many big men. We don't have enough spacers for Cade Cunningham. Like, all we have is Bogdanovich. That's all. And then Thompson, our rookie, or the Pistons rookie, not our rookie. He's good defensive. He gets the boards, he gets the blocks, he gets the assists. But I think his jumper is terrible. I mean, I've seen so many videos of him, and people say, like, it's like, the people that make the videos literally say these are multiple clips, and it's just like him airballing. Like, it's not like the same clip. Like, he can't shoot a lick. But he is one of the only rookies in this class that has been sent down to the G League, like most of the lottery picks this year, which I guess is a positive side, but we are such a bad team that we need all we can get.
Well said. Well said.
But I think I'm hoping Cade Cunningham doesn't leave. I mean, we do have I assume we have a lot of money because I don't know who the hell we could be paying to be this bad besides Bogdanovich. I'm hoping we trade him just to get some draft space. And, that's the only hope I got. Cade Cunningham stays. It's just going to be hard to get free agents, obviously, because no one wants to come to a 2-29? 2-28 team.
Yeah, somewhere around there. 20, 26, 27 straight losses.
Like Cam Thomas said, no one wants to be that team, but, lose. So,
and to end it off,
it makes it even harder to win.
To end it off, who do you guys think will be that team? I think it's going to be the Raptors.
I mean, it's supposed to be the Jazz, but you already know that went.
Yeah, it's been a rough couple of seasons.
I'll say the Pacers.
Pacers. I think the main reason, contributing factor to why this is happening is the lack of quality. It's terrible decisions in the draft. I mean,
we have depth. It's just like lack of like good depth players. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Big men like Marvin Bagley, Jalen Duran, and like, why do we need like all of these big men?
Sure,
I actually heard that the NBA is like implementing an extra game for the Pistons. They're gonna play the Las Vegas Aces. So maybe they'll get a win on that one. So that's my team.
And here's one to close another closer. I said I was going to close, but I really don't think I agree with what Cade Cunningham said. I don't think the Pistons are 27, 28.
Yeah, he said they were 26 at that time when he said that. We're not 2-26 bad.
I don't think they are. I don't think they are. It sounds like funny to say it almost because they're so bad, but I don't think they're that. Like, they're probably the best team to be this bad or to have this record ever.
They're like, the best worst team.
They're the best worst. No, that's it. The Pistons are the best worst team. They just can't close it out, and I think a lot of that falls on Monty Williams, unfortunately.
Yeah, what was it the other night? We were up like by 20 or something. I don't know. It was like first quarter. Like, the other 15. Team had like 8, and we were like had like 23 or something.
I think it was against the Nets.
Yeah, and then we just
sold.
Cam Thomas didn't want to be that team. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I just don't think.
But I mean, we could be like the Suns with like 3 superstars and we still suck. But we're not. We don't have
you're
superstars.
telling me something I already know, buddy.
Suns are another team.
It's you know what they say. It's a soul for the city of Detroit.
Sure.
I think we're honestly overlooking like a bigger topic though, because the Spurs have only won 2 more games than the Pistons.
No, for sure.
Yeah,
and I think the Spurs are twice
as generational talent, bro.
I think the Spurs are twice as talented without Wembanyama. Well, actually, I don't know about
That's
that.
Crazy.
I mean, they've
okay, yeah,
not twice, but like more talented. I think Vassell, all the Keldon Johnson,
I think they have a better core.
Yeah, they have a better core, dude. The Pistons core is like. It's hard to explain. It's like they don't
just whatever they want.
It's just a mosh podge of best picks they can pick at the time. The Pistons have one of the worst histories of picking terrible players in the draft. The Timberwolves are up there with just terrible decision making, and the good players that the Pistons do get, they trade away. I'm trying to think of examples. I just know that the Pistons have had multiple great picks, and they don't let them develop. Yeah, they don't let them. They don't develop them. Yes, and they don't.
Luke Kennard.
Yep, another one. And they send them away before they develop. All these players that would, if they had those, Chris Middleton is second best player on the Pistons right now, maybe the best. I love Cade kinda, but I love Cade more that he did that one live. But I don't know if he can be the leader of a franchise if you can't even like lead the Pistons, and that's all I'll say. I think that's the end of the whole NBA topic for today. We'll leave on a mellow note and go on to our games of the week. We have 13 more games. It's the last week of the season. This is week 20 of picking games of our first inaugural pick games. Loser has to do something season, and it's called Loser Has to Do Something. But this season we're gonna have it so that the winner, which will be Josh, will have to pick the punishment for next season. So Josh is, even if whatever happens this next week, will win the inaugural 20-week season, which I think will probably lower it next season to like 15 weeks or maybe even less. But he's the winner. So over this next week, Josh is going to pick in his head a punishment that next year the loser of us three will have to do of the games. Again, it will be probably a shorter season. 20 weeks is too long. I mean, it took us almost a year to do 20 weeks. Yeah. So yeah, 9 or something like that. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. But yeah, we have 13 games, and let's get right into the picks. Let's not bother doing last week's picks because last week was about 3.5 months ago. Yeah. So well, let's just give the overall right now. The overall score, Josh is first place with Josh. You want to go ahead and list to what your record is?
My record is 130, and then I've not picked the right team 114 times, and then there's a 3 on there because some people don't know how to pick games.
Ties kind of.
That equals out to a 52.6% win percentage. I went 8-5 last week. Brandon is 116 and 128 and 3 with a 46.9% percentage, 6-7 last week. Coleman is 1 game behind Brandon at 115 and 129 and 3, 46.5%. He went 4-9 last week.
Yeah, not the best. I think that for as much sports as Brandon and I watch, the fact that we're under 500 is just quite. There's not really a way to quantify how terrible. I mean,
when you pick a lot of games, though, like it's hard to like stay over 500.
Sure, I think a lot of those games are like
NFL or NBA. I think I'd be decent, but because we throw in like college basketball and MLB,
baseball and stuff like that, we're all the game, and we keep track of the pitchers. But I mean, hey, that's our job. That's what we get paid. That's why ESPN pays our.
That's why we make millions.
So much.
Yeah. So, but I think, as much as it like looks bad, I always pick Wolves. The Wolves are the GOATs. And obviously they lose. Like last year, they've lost almost every game that I picked them. So I mean, there are like things like that where it's like hard, but I'm just coping at this point. It's been bad for Brennan and I, and pretty good for Josh. But yeah, going into this week 20. Last week we have on Friday, which is tomorrow. So that means I have to stay up late and wake up early editing this. All right. So for the first game, we have Kentucky versus Clemson in the Gator Tax Slayer Bowl, something like that.
Yeah, Tax Slayer Gator Bowl.
Wow, what a name, and that's in Jacksonville, I think.
Yep.
And we all picked Kentucky to beat Clemson. Clemson on a down year. Okay, another game on Friday. Or the other game on Friday. We only have two. Mavericks are at the Minnesota Timberwolves, and I could finally include Minnesota Timberwolves games in here without being a bandwagon fan. I only want to see my team in here, so I have some reason to care about the game. The Wolves are actually decent this year, and that will be a good game. I think the Wolves have beat the Mavs once maybe this year. And they're playing at Minnesota, and we all have the Wolves. For Brandon, who has the Mavs because he's a hater and he's salty about the Pistons being terrible. Brandon, why do you have the Mavericks going to Minnesota and beating the Timberwolves?
Luka. That's about it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm a big Luka fan. If I could buy his jersey, I would, but I'm broke. This Coleman doesn't pay me enough. But it's not that I hate the Wolves. It's just that I believe that Luka, he'll just have one of those games. He's always guaranteed one of those games where he would go for 50.
Dude, that's every game.
I know, but I'm just saying, against the Wolves, Mike Conley or whoever's guarding him, Anthony Edwards. I just still think that
it doesn't match up well.
Luka magic.
It does not match up well. I think Nickeil Alexander-Walker is the best chance. But yeah, no, I can see where the Mavs definitely pull it out, especially the Wolves. Just not, they always sell the bag. Okay, Saturday.
All right, moving on. I'll do Saturday. I got you.
All right.
Lions at Cowboys. We all have the Cowboys except Brandon because the Lions are his team. Pretty self-explanatory there. Coleman, do you have anything you want to talk about the Cowboys, or is that pretty?
No, they're gonna sell the bag probably, and they'll make look terrible. So yeah, that's all I have to say.
All right, here we go. All right, Lions at the Wolves. We all picked the Wolves.
Lakers.
Oh, I don't know why I said Lions. It's on top of it. Lakers at the Wolves. We all picked the Wolves because the Lakers suck and nobody likes to pick them.
LeBron's running the point, so
yeah, his hairline's gone way back now. Raptors at Pistons.
This could be the game.
Yeah, this could be the game that the Pistons break the streak, but none of us picked the Pistons, so we all believe the streak will continue.
Yep.
That's even sad for Brandon, though. That's his team. He's just saying, nah, bro. I'd rather take the win on here for real.
It's crazy.
Zero faith. Sunday, we had the Dolphins at the Ravens. I picked the Dolphins, and Coleman and Brandon picked the Ravens. Which I did pick the Ravens to win the Super Bowl. To play the Super Bowl. I picked the Dolphins just because they're so inconsistent that I think this game they'll have a good game because the last game they had a bad game.
Okay.
Packers at Vikings. Of course, the Vikings fan picked the Vikings.
Yes, sir.
And me and Brandon are level-headed and think through it, and we picked the Packers.
Yep.
Monday, you've already heard our picks of the college football.
I just realized Coleman does have a chance because the Packers suspended Jair Alexander.
Yeah, Justin Jefferson
captain for no reason.
That's also
I still think that Jordan Love will dice up that team.
Okay.
I forgot about the Alexander thing. Huh. Anyway, Alabama versus Michigan. Me and Coleman picked Alabama as we previously talked about, and the Michigan fan picks Michigan. Washington versus Texas. We all are horns up for this game. Go Texas!
Only for this
all
game.
Three of us. Oh, I already said I'm halfway horns up.
Sideways horn. Diagonal down.
Yeah. Diagonal down. Yeah. All right, Brandon, you want to do the last 2 days?
Sure, man. On Tuesday, we have the Celtics at the Thunder. We all chose the Thunder. SGA's been tearing it up. I believe him and Jalen Williams, the good Jalen Williams. They both dropped 30+ the other night. So they're looking good. Creighton at Georgetown. We all went with Creighton. Now, although this is an in-conference game, right? Big East, both in the Big East, so it could go either way. But we all agreed that Creighton is the better team. And then on Wednesday, we have Clippers at Suns. Of course, Josh went with his team, the Suns, while me and Coleman went with the Clippers. Josh's pick, pretty self-explanatory. He still has hope for his team. As they let him down.
Devin Booker at this point.
And me and Coleman obviously went with the Clippers because although the James Harden trade was not panning out, they have been on one recently. Russell Westbrook does not hate coming off the bench, and he's doing a pretty decent job.
They won 8 in a row or something.
Lastly, we have Heat at the Lakers. Me and Josh went with the Heat. Coleman chose the Lakers. Weird pick
on you, Coleman.
He hates LeBron, but let's see
I don't hate LeBron.
Explanation.
I don't hate LeBron. I absolutely despise him. I'm kidding. He's just I don't. Yeah, I'm not really that either. I'm just trying to think of a way to say it without, not being like hating. I'm just a hater.
I'm a hater.
Yeah, but the Heat have been selling close games so far this year. The Heat are, historically, I was about to say historically bad, but historically this season, have been selling some pretty close games when it counts.
Historically this season.
Yeah. Okay. All right, bro. It's still in the past. It's still historical. Yeah. Okay. And I think in the is it still the safe? No, it's not. What is it? The crypto arena? What is it?
Yeah, crypto.com arena. Yeah.
What a joke arena. But yeah, I think they're gonna pull it out there, especially with all the fans who pay $7,000 for up nosebleeds. They're gonna be pretty ecstatic, spending their entire salaries on one ticket. But yeah, I think that the Lakers will win, and that just about does it. Unless you guys have anything else to add, that just about does it for this Revival Wildcards podcast. I want to thank everyone for showing out. If you want to, go and follow our social medias, you can go do that. The show Wildcards is Instagram. Yeah, very, very inactive. But maybe that will change in the next couple months. You never know. But with that being, I think that does it. I appreciate you for staying this far. If you are listening this far into the podcast, have fun.
I appreciate it. Peace.
Peace.